Reading is a really hot topic these days, and parents don't know what's happening in the classroom. The teachers don't know what's happening at home, and everyone's got their opinions on everything. And I think that it is really difficult to truly understand exactly how to fix the problems that are happening. When it comes to the reading side of things, I know that for parents specifically, they just want to make sure that their kids are learning. And the teachers are trying to actually have a conversation saying something's happening at home and it's not really allowing us to do our own jobs as teachers. And I think that when it comes to understanding where the middle ground is and what we're looking to do, there are so many opinions. I know that a lot of parents are thinking that they shouldn't be the ones who are necessarily taking the time to have to put in all of the effort to get their children doing mathematics, doing reading, things like that. But also the teachers are out here and the teachers are saying things like, well, you did have a child, so maybe putting in some work could be reasonable. I know that some teachers are even suggesting that you go ahead and get a tutor, things like that, but it's not always possible depending on the resources that are available for parents. And I know that parents want to be able to help their children the most possible. It's just that it does get expensive, or there's a lot of time involved, or parents get home late and they have to cook dinner, and it becomes a bit of a problem when, for whatever the reason is, the parents expect it to happen at school. There are even a lot of conversations around just should the kids be bringing any work home at all? And that's another discussion. Here's some videos. Take a look, and I'd love to hear what you think.
People often mention that students are losing their ability to read and write like they used to. Did you notice any decline in your last years of teaching? So I started teaching in '92. I retired in 2024, and I noticed a significant decline. And I will say there are a few different factors. I talked in another video about one of the factors being that students are not reading anymore. They're not reading on their own. They're not reading for class assignments. I stopped giving independent reading because students were just not doing it and were happy to take the 0 or the F or the D in order to not read the book. So they were actively trying not to read anything. I started reading to them, which definitely did help. But when you're not reading, you're also not expanding your vocabulary, and the way that you communicate also narrows as well. And another factor that I started to notice, especially around like 2022, was a lot of students just don't care. And that's heartbreaking. It really, really is, because they don't care that their grades are low. They don't care that they're not reading. And when I had honest conversations with some of my students, I got the constant refrain that nothing is going to work for them anyway. They're never going to be able to get ahead. They're never going to be able to own a home. They're never going to be able to raise a family like their parents and grandparents did. So why even try?
And so this teacher has an interesting perspective as well, where if the children are not motivated or they don't really have a reason as to why they should read in the first place or why they should do their schoolwork, if they can't afford a home, if they're not able to purchase property, if they're not able to be able to just enjoy life to some degree, why should they even learn anything? There are many videos as well that talk about university and post-secondary education, and is it a scam, and should we even be going? And the reality is that nothing is ever going to beat learning. If you're able to learn, then it's fantastic, right? And if you're able to learn and put the effort into learning something, whether it's from learning from YouTube videos or it's learning from a school scenario, I'm all for it. And I think it's important regardless of the individual that you are. But again, parents have their thoughts, teachers have their thoughts.
And of course, I did all my usual pep talks, and I try to encourage them in tangible ways. But when they have that feeling in high school, and when education isn't valued or pushed at home, that's a deadly combination for a kid to say, why am I going to read this? Who cares if I know how to write a paragraph, a sentence, because I'm never going to need it.
I need all my parents to come to the front right now, because I am mind boggled right now. It's not making any sense to me, and maybe if we discuss it together, I can get some more understandings. I just went to my daughter's school. We had report card night, so they tell you about their grades, yada, yada, yada. We get in there. First thing they start with is none of the second graders, none of the kindergarteners, none of the first graders, none of the sixth graders, none of them are at grade level. The charter school I'm attending is all paper and pen. The charter school my daughter used to go to was laptop. Incredible student. Passed everything, nothing. Like, Pass. Flying colors. Went to this charter school. Paper pen. Failing everything. They were like, well, we had to have them do an essay, and then like we do fill in the blanks, but they do not get a work bank, so they have to fill it out themselves. They have to spell everything themselves. Even though I mean, I understand that some of it, but I feel like it's a lot for second grade. But she was like, none of them can do an essay, none of them can spell. And then I asked, I was like, do y'all do spelling tests? We don't do spelling tests. I'm like, okay. Okay, they want them to do essays and stuff, but they don't do spelling tests. That was besides the point. The point I was trying to make is none of these kids are where they're supposed to be. And I'm not going to blame all of it on the laptops. I think it's partially that. But what is going on? Why is nobody on grade level? Why is everybody struggling? It can't be we all have learning disabilities. I'm just confused why nobody's at grade level. I think we should never introduce laptops because nobody can spell. Nobody can do essays. No, we can barely read. Some people can read, of course. But we're just having a crisis. What is going on? And I thought it was just my daughter. It's not. It's all of our kids. I just want to know what's going on.
The kids can't read, write, or remember anything or use their imaginations, and the teachers are wondering why. Parents are confused with why our children are coming home with these crazy grades or not knowing how to do their homework, so then we can't help them because they don't know how to tell us what the hell they're doing in class. All across the country, we got teachers saying the same thing, that these kids are not in the level or on the level of the grade that they're in, that their handwriting is crazy, that they have zero retention and zero access to imagination. They will practice a subject or a skill the whole week, and then when it comes to testing, the children draw a blank. They don't know. They don't know what they're supposed to do. We were writing final draft and the rough draft in the same 45-minute time period, ready to turn in third grade. We got high schoolers out here right now that can't write 5 paragraphs. And the teachers and parents alike want to know why. But I'm going to tell you something. It ain't the kids. It's the system. It's not just COVID. It's not just the phones and the tablets. It's not just the parents. It's not just the curriculum. It's all of it.
I do remember being in third grade, even in second grade, fourth grade, things like that, and having to do assignments that are quite large assignments, whether it's posters that we have to take home or create science projects, or even going ahead and needing to create an entire essay just based on, and again, we didn't have AI. We didn't have all these tools to help us out. So there's a lot of validity there as well. So how do we accommodate for that different time? Again, parents just want an answer, and teachers also want an answer. And I think that's sort of, we've got to figure out what that marriage is going to look like. And there's a lot there. There's definitely a lot there. I think that if we're able to personalize in a lot of different ways, that's why I've written a number of books as well, then we're able to actually adhere to what the students need on an individual level. And that's always going to be helpful, regardless of if we have AI or we don't have AI. Having that one-on-one help, I think, is always going to be helpful. But again, the resources, very important. How do the parents accommodate for that? The time, how do parents accommodate for that? The teachers, they already have a lot going on. So how do we, again, accommodate for all of these individual needs?
Everybody's talking about how kids can't read. Like, I see it everywhere. Kids can't read. Literacy rates all-time high. I just saw an article about how college professors are now reporting that their kids can't read. We could talk about the education system. We could talk about, teaching, reading, the curriculum. Don't get me started. I wrote a 29-page paper about choosing complex reading materials to teach reading. We could talk about it if you want, let me know. But I have a question for grown-ups. And I mean this nicely. Just, have you ever thought about how maybe kids aren't reading because they never see anyone else reading? Are you reading? Like, do you actually, when you get home and you're sitting and spending time with your family, do you guys, sit down and read? I don't know. Maybe kids just don't have enough modeled behavior.
It is difficult to find the time through time for homework, through time for watching TV, playing games, general family time, extracurricular activities, downtime. It's tough to find time to actually sit down and do specific work with our kids. I have 2 kids myself, and it definitely does get tricky. And it's only going to get increasingly more difficult as time goes on, only because the time it's reducing for being a parent. We have so many things that we have to do. And on the teacher side, it's also reducing because they're getting more work put on their plate. So again, I think as parents, we can help them. As teachers, teachers can also help us. The modeled behavior, I think, is very important. Kids are always looking to see what other individuals are doing, whether it's their friends, their peers, their parents, their brothers and sisters, siblings. But I'd love to hear about what you think. Leave a comment below. Do you think that teachers have it rough? Do you think that teachers need to put more on their plate? Do you think that parents already have too much on their plate? I'd love to hear more about what you're thinking. I've got a lot of other videos as well. We have a number of shorts as well that go through education, reading, lots of reading right now as well, soon to be mathematics as well too, just the science and breakdown of certain levels of reading that we do here as well. I've got some books, and I hope you're well. I hope you're doing well. Feel free to take a look at anything that's here that can be provided as help to you, but please just keep your head up and let's keep learning.